Have you ever opened your phone for just 5 minutes and somehow ended up feeling worse about your entire life? You weren't unhappy before you picked it up, but then you saw it. Someone's promotion, someone's vacation, someone's relationship that looks perfect, someone's body that looks like they never struggle. And before you even process what happened, something quietly shifts inside you. Suddenly you feel behind. Suddenly your life feels smaller. Suddenly that thing you were proud of this morning doesn't feel like enough anymore. And the worst part? You feel guilty for feeling this way. You tell yourself, just be grateful. Stop comparing. You're being ridiculous. But here's what nobody tells you. This isn't a character flaw. This isn't weakness. This is your brain doing exactly what it was built to do. And modern life is exploiting that wiring in ways most people never even notice. Let's go back, way back. Thousands of years ago, humans didn't live in cities. We lived in small tribes, groups of maybe 50 to 100 people. And in those tribes, your survival literally depended on where you stood socially. If you had high status, you got food, protection, and connection. If you fell behind, you were at risk. So your brain evolved a scanning system, constantly, quietly running in the background, asking 3 questions. Who's higher status than me? Where do I belong? Am I falling behind? This wasn't jealousy. This was intelligence. Social comparison was a survival tool. It helped you adapt, stay relevant, and protect yourself within your group. Psychologist Leon Festinger formalized this in 1954 with his social comparison theory. His finding was simple. Humans have a deep, natural drive to evaluate themselves, and when there's no objective measure, we use other people as our standard. The mechanism made sense in a tribe of 50 people you actually knew. The problem is, your brain is still running that same ancient software, but now instead of 50 people in your village, you're being exposed to millions every single day, and your nervous system was never designed for that scale. Here's where it gets darker. When you compare yourself to someone in real life, a neighbor, a colleague, a friend, you see the full picture. You see their bad days. You see their stress. You see the behind the scenes. But social media removes all of that context. What you see online is a highlight reel. The vacation photo, not the credit card debt behind it. The promotion announcement, not the years of quiet rejection. The perfect relationship photo, not the argument they had that morning. Your brain sees the image and immediately starts measuring their best moment against your average Tuesday. And because you're seeing this content constantly, your brain starts treating it as normal. Luxury becomes the baseline. Success becomes the expectation. And anything less starts feeling like failure. Psychologists call this the availability bias. The more you're exposed to something, the more your brain treats it as reality. And algorithms know this. They're not showing you a balanced picture of human life. They're showing you what triggers the strongest emotional response. Because that's what keeps you on the platform longer. Your brain compares your behind-the-scenes life to everyone else's highlight reel. And it does this automatically, unconsciously, hundreds of times a day. That's not a personal problem. That's an environmental one. Now here's the part that really should stop you in your tracks. You can genuinely improve your life, get healthier, earn more, build better relationships, and still feel inadequate. Because satisfaction isn't absolute. It's relative. Psychologists call this relative deprivation. The feeling of lacking something, not because you objectively don't have enough, but because someone around you has more. The goalpost doesn't stay still. It moves every time you scroll. And then there's hedonic adaptation, the brain's tendency to return to a baseline level of satisfaction no matter what you achieve. You get the thing you wanted. You feel good for a moment. Then it becomes the new normal. And suddenly what you have stops feeling like enough again. Modern culture knows this and uses it. The entire economy of aspiration is built on the idea that you are always slightly behind where you should be. Not so far behind that you give up. Just far enough that you keep reaching, keep buying, keep consuming. You can spend your whole life improving and still feel like you're failing, because the system measuring your progress was never designed to tell you that you're enough. Let's be honest about something most people don't want to say out loud. Your insecurity is worth money to someone. The beauty industry, the fitness industry, the luxury market, the productivity culture, the influencer economy, all of it runs on one simple engine, making you feel like you're not quite there yet. Ads don't sell products. They sell feelings of insufficiency first, and then offer the product as the solution. You see someone with a certain body, a certain lifestyle, a certain look, and before you're even aware of it, your brain has already calculated the gap between them and you. This is called manufactured inadequacy. It's not an accident, it's a strategy. And social media platforms are the perfect delivery system for it. Because every piece of content, even the ones that aren't technically ads, trains your brain to compare. The influencer showing their morning routine, the entrepreneur showing their revenue, the model showing their body. None of it is neutral. All of it is quietly reshaping what you believe is normal, achievable, and expected. If you already felt complete, genuinely, deeply complete, most of these industries would lose their power over you entirely. That's why they work so hard to make sure you don't. You may have noticed, some people scroll through the same content and walk away unbothered, while others spiral. Why? The intensity of comparison is almost always tied to something internal. Psychologists have found that people who grew up in environments where love and praise were conditional, you were celebrated when you achieved and overlooked when you didn't, tend to develop what's called contingent self-worth. Their sense of value becomes tied to performance, appearance, and how they measure up to others. Attachment styles play a role too. If you learned early that you had to prove yourself to receive love and belonging, that pattern doesn't disappear in adulthood. It shows up in how you respond when someone else gets something you wanted. This isn't about blame. It's about understanding. If you find yourself comparing constantly, it's often less about the other person and more about a quiet fear that you are not enough as you are. That somewhere along the way, your worth became something you had to earn. That fear is real, and it deserves compassion, not judgment. People will tell you, just stop comparing yourself to others, as if awareness alone rewires a survival mechanism thousands of years old. That's not how this works. You cannot eliminate comparison completely, but you can reduce the systems that constantly trigger it, and that's a different approach entirely. First, design your environment intentionally. Your brain compares what it's exposed to, so expose it to less of what triggers unhealthy comparison. Unfollow accounts that consistently leave you feeling behind, not out of bitterness, out of self-awareness. Second, a shift from consuming to creating. Comparison spikes when you're passively absorbing. It quiets when you're actively building. Spend more time making things, writing, creating, learning, building, and less time watching others do it. Third, reframe your measuring stick. Instead of asking where you are compared to someone else, ask where you are compared to who you were 6 months ago. That comparison actually tells you something useful. The other one never does. Fourth, build your identity around values, not status. When you know what genuinely matters to you, not what impresses others, but what actually aligns with who you are, comparison loses its grip. Because you stop playing a game that was never yours to win. The goal isn't to become immune to comparison. The goal is to stop building your identity around it. So, let's land here slowly. Comparison is human. It has always been part of us, but what we're experiencing now is something different. Comparison that has been industrialized, amplified, and monetized on a scale no human nervous system was built to handle. You are not failing as badly as you think you are. The people around you, most of them also feel behind. Most of them also open their phones and feel that quiet ache. You just don't see it because they're not posting about it. Your perception of reality has been shaped by an environment designed to distort it. And the first step to reclaiming your peace is simply recognizing that. Not everything that makes you feel behind is true. Some of it is just noise. Engineered, profitable, relentless noise. And maybe, when you finally quiet that noise, you'll find that the life you already have is far more than you gave it credit for. Maybe the problem was never that you weren't enough. Maybe you were simply surrounded by systems designed to make you feel that way.